Andrew Bartman, tell us about USA Baseball, bro.
Would love to. My current role there is Director of Coaching Development, and we have a USAB Develops, not side, but like we're all one USA Baseball, but we have a USAB Develops department. Then we have our baseball operations department, and baseball operations is your Olympic team, because we're the national governing body of amateur baseball in the United States by an act of Congress, by the way, not just because we put it on a website, but by an act of Congress, we are the national governing body. And we have the Olympic team, World Baseball Classic, all the national teams that compete internationally as part of the World Baseball Softball Confederation. I don't know all of the age groups, but it's like there's an 18U national or international tournament, 15U, 12U, I believe. Some others. We have a women's national team, not softball, but baseball, women's baseball national team. I've had the pleasure of interviewing their manager, Veronica Alvarez, on occasion, one of our clinics. But on the develops part of USA Baseball, we're dedicated to growing the game and providing safety and education measures for players and coaches. And so my function, obviously, in coaching development, is on the coaches side. We have a free certification program that can be done 100% online, zero cost, no catch, no nothing. I like to say that I drop that 4-letter F word a lot, and it's free because there's not a lot of things free in this world, especially in sports. So we have the coaches certification program. We also have a library of courses that anyone can take, from players to parents to career coaches. You're pitching, hitting, outfield, infield, catching, different things like that. We have a tremendous blog, and the blog is sorted by subject matter and by author. We have contributors that are leaders in our game that contribute to that. And we have a mobile coach app, which anyone can download for free, Apple, Android, desktop. Can build a practice plan. It's got a drill library. The drills are color-coded, beginner, intermediate, advanced. Great resource. If you're someone who's coaching your kid because no one else will, download the mobile coach app. You can get through it. That's really what our goal is. So we believe that if kids have a coach that spends a little bit of time providing them with a good experience and not just show up and, hey, I think we'll do this today, but comes in with somewhat of a plan, they're organized, those kids are going to respond, and we're going to keep kids playing baseball a lot longer, which is our goal, obviously, being USA Baseball. Most importantly, and what I would encourage anyone to do, if you coach any sport, if you have a kid who plays a sport, take the Pure Baseball course. And there's a standalone link for that, purebaseball.org. It's also part of our usabdevelops.com website that you can access all of our information. Hope we can put that in the show notes later. But Pure Baseball is USA Baseball's zero tolerance response to Senate Bill 534, otherwise known as the Safe Sport Act. In the wake of the tremendous and horrendous scandals involving USA Gymnastics and some other national governing bodies, we put this course together. And I say we, I did not. People smarter than me did it. And David Ross, who's the manager of the Cubs, is the host. It's about 45 minutes-ish, and it's eye-opening. And it's best practices. The lawyers for USA Baseball have said this is a satisfactory training for this law. So if you run a league, if your kid's involved in a league, recommend that they do it. It is free. You just have to sign up for it and watch it. There's one for adults, and there's also one for minors. So kids need to watch it too, so they understand what coaches should and should not be doing with them. It's a little uncomfortable at times for the kids. I wouldn't recommend it for like a 6-year-old, because you've usually got your thumb on them. You're not dropping them off at practice and leaving most of the time. Sometimes you might have to. But it is very relevant information for 2020. And there are bad actors out there, and we're trying to flush them out, and we're trying to provide great training so no coach ever puts himself in a position to where whether on purpose or not on purpose, they're making a bad decision being around kids. So it's something that we're very proud of. And I don't even know the number of how many hundreds of thousands of people that have done it. We have a lot of large organizations mandating it. And it's something we're very proud of that we want to push forward. And again, not a revenue driver for us. There's no catch. We just want our game to be safer. That's also why we keep the ineligible list forward facing on our website. And so anyone that we are aware of through various means that we not investigate, but things come to us and things that we find out about, we have an ineligible list, and their names are on our website, and where they live is on our website, the city and state. As the national governing body, from a national view, we don't want somebody, I'll use this as an example, New York and New Jersey are right next to each other, and they're huge population centers. We don't want a softball coach in New Jersey to get in trouble and know that a state background check is just for that state. and then hop the state line 5 minutes and be in New York coaching youth baseball. We want to make sure that those, we say bad actors, we want to make sure they're not in our game at all. And we want to make sure their names are public so that people know, you should research who's coaching your kid. You really should. Don't just trust someone's word for it. All they need to do is trick one person into believing that they're safe, and then it could be bad news. So I hate to bring the mood of this talk down, but it's something that is it's very serious, and it's something we take seriously. And so that's why we've done that as an industry leader in providing pure baseball.
Dude, I love it. And it is, I watched the documentary not long ago about the whole Jerry Nasser, or whatever his name was, David Nasser, whatever, the guy from Michigan State.
Yep.
And it was just, wow. Just, you're getting so ticked off just watching the thing. And you're like, and so, yeah, the reality of it is there's a lot of con artists and a lot of really good con artists out there that work with other con artists and just really destroy a lot of people's lives. It's very, very sad. So let's change it a little bit. Tell us your story about how you got to USA Baseball.
It's a long and winding road, but I played baseball my whole life from the age of 5 through 4 years of college. Played 2 years of junior college and 2 years at an NCAA Division III school, and then was very fortunate to get hired right out of college. Didn't really know. I knew I wanted to teach and coach. My coach, Kevin Vest, sat me down. He's down your neck of the woods. No, he's down in Texas. He's the AD at Tyler Junior College.
Nice.
Yeah, sat me down and said, "Where do you want to coach?" I said, I don't know, probably back at the high school or something, because I had no idea how it worked. And he was like, "Well, you can always do that. Like, while you are used to living like a college person on no money and in squalor, basically, you should go try to coach college baseball and make no money and still live in squalor, but get to do it full time." So I did that, and just twist of fate, blessing from above. Coach at one of, if not the best junior colleges in the country down in Southern Illinois, Rob Fournier at Wabash Valley College. And Rob hired me, and I went there to make $2,000 a year with a free apartment. And like a few months into it, ended up getting, the other assistant coach left. So then all of a sudden I was making 14 grand in a free apartment, man. Life was good. Nicole, my wife, she was there with me every single step of the way, living in that and around that, and working 80-hour weeks and loving it, absolutely loving it. So I was not a very good player, but all of a sudden just got done being a not very good player, got handed the keys to coach some really, really, really good players. So the learning curve was steep and it was quick, but had a lot of fun there for 3 years, won a lot of games, won a conference championship, had a bunch of players move on. That's the goal of a junior college, is to win and move them on, get them their courses. So had a couple guys end up making the big leagues that I coached through no coaching of mine. They just happened to get there despite me being their coach, which has been great. And after that, went back home to Lincoln College in Lincoln, Illinois for 2 years to coach for someone that I played for, Tony Thomas, who's a great man. Had a great 2 years there. And after that, got my first head coaching job at my other alma mater, McMurray College, the four-year school. So I coached at the JUCO I played at, then I coached at the four-year school I played at. Was a head coach, inherited an absolute dumpster fire of a program. Had 4 returning players from a team that went 3-30 the year before when I got hired May 15th, and we got to work and had a roster of 32. We won 14 games that first year, and you would have thought that they thought I was Tony La Russa on that campus. So, Justin Fuller, my dear friend, we coached together at Wabash Valley. We coached together at McMurray. He said, "Hey, man, it's all good. You can't fly out of a basement window. We weren't going to be any worse than the guys that were there before us." So we did that for 2 years, and we were 1 hour, Nicole and I were 1 hour away from home, and I turned 30, bought our first house. I was a head coach for the first time. We went through a miscarriage, and then our rainbow baby, Kendall, was born. So like a lot of stuff happened in that condensed amount of time, right? And so we were 1 hour away from both sets of our parents, and the AD that hired me there, he got offered a job back home. He was from Central Kansas at an NAI school, 4-year school. I said, "Hey, man, I think we're making a change. I like working with you. Would you want to come to Kansas?" So we went out there and checked it out. And that was a tough phone call to make to mom and dad. "Hey, your 6-month-old grandbaby that your only child, just had, we're actually going to move 8 hours away, so this is what we're doing." I was out at Bethany College for 4 years, like I touched on, NAI school, and in Lindsborg, Kansas. And it is a postcard community. It is 3,000 people. Probably 85% of the community either went to Bethany College or worked there. You leave your doors unlocked at night, cobblestone streets down Main Street, the whole shebang, man. It's awesome. Awesome place to raise a family. Great, great, great people. Really, really cool. The school's like any other private four-year school. You know, times are tough. People are realizing they don't need to pay buku money to get a private education, and there's a lot of other options out there. So it was a tough road, recruiting, facilities wise, the whole deal. Was starting to get that stagnant feeling. You know, it'd been 4 years, starting to feel stagnant. It's, you know, not a dead end, but it was like we'd done what we could do there. And so one of my very good friends from a long time ago on the camp circuit, Jeremy Sheetinger, he had just left coaching to work for the Baseball Coaches Association, the ABCA. They put on the coaches convention every year. It's a big deal, 7,000-8,000 people. It's Disneyland for baseball coaches. And they had a youth and high school liaison job pop up. Said, hey man, I know you're thinking about getting out. This would be a good fit. So I'm very, very blessed that he thought of me. And that's when we moved to High Point, North Carolina, built a house 5 minutes from the ABCA office. I was liaisoning with USA Baseball to work on that certification program because it was a joint venture. Eventually that fell through. Both sides decided to, the ABCA wanted to step away from it. USA Baseball wanted to stay in it. And then someone at USA Baseball said, hey, why don't you just come over to us and see this thing through? So here I am. And for someone that grew up in a town of 300 people in central Illinois and was not a very good player through high school and college, but played, you know, but not very good and didn't have the big time pedigree. I feel beyond blessed to be where I'm at today. And I get to represent our country and I get to provide quality coaching education to people all over the world. And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I'd be doing that professionally.
Dude, what a road you have traveled, brother. Now do you have 3 daughters?
No, I have 2 daughters, but it feels like I have 7.
I forgot. I was thinking either 2 or 3. What has coaching taught you about fatherhood?
Oh boy, a whole lot. Coach, it's so funny. It's so funny when you talk to people who are not coaches, because coaches have their own way of doing things, and you want to measure everything because you were constantly getting measured, wins and losses. Did we have a good practice today? Did we not? It's all, a lot of it's reflective. You know what I mean? You get up the next morning and you're in the office. All right, what did we do well yesterday? What did we not? Fatherhood's like that a lot. At least I think it is. I get up in the morning and I'm like, man, the kids were bonkers last night. What can we do to fix this? How do we change it? Because coaches always want that fix, right? No matter what sport it is, you know, if you're doing something wrong, we're going to correct it. We're going to move on. It's going to be better. Well, kids are not that easy. I'm not telling 5-year-old Micah Bartman, hey, you didn't do this well yesterday. We need to fix this. And she's going to look at me and say, no.
Or we need to get out on the field again and we're going to practice, or we're going to go replay this over and over again, right?
Right. It doesn't go that way. And so that's not a similarity, but that's something I've noticed that is very, as a coach, that's what I want to do, right? That's what I want to do with fatherhood, and I want to fix it. And a lot of men are like that, you know, there's a lot of women like that too, but we see something that we think is incorrect. We want to fix it. And it's not always a quick fix. In our mind, it might be a quick fix, but being able to communicate that effectively to somebody else, especially a child, it's not good. One of the greatest things my wife ever told me was to get on their level. And I never thought about that. Never once thought about that. I'm talking to you, and if it's a player, he's on the field, he's stretching, and I want to talk to him. It's like I'm talking down to him, you know? I'm talking to him across the dugout. I'm just getting my point across when I need to. And she said, no, our kids are not like that. You got to get on their level. You got to get down on a knee. You got to take a knee. You got to get down on both your knees. You got to meet them on the floor, you know, and you got to talk to them where they're at and make them understand that you're coming from a place of love and you're not coming from a place of correction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I can imagine in that coaching mentality, you're always in that coaching mentality. Even at home, it's hard to flip that switch because they're so close. They go so close hand in hand. And as we were talking before, it's like coaching and fathering. I mean, you know, as a father, you are your kid's greatest coach, right? So it's hard to get out of that always coaching instead of sitting back. And sometimes, I've said this many times with my daughters, as your daughters get older, what's funny, I learned this from my wife many years ago, is that sometimes she doesn't want things fixed. She doesn't want advice. She just wants me to listen. And women, especially women, because they're intimate through listening, you know, and talking, it's like they just want us to listen sometimes. So As your girls get older, this is a valuable lesson. It's taken me many years to learn, but there's times it's like they don't want to lecture, they don't want to be coached, they don't want this, that, or the other. They just want dad to sit and listen, and for you to say, "Man, I hear you. You know what, girl, I hear you." And that part is so valuable, I think, in fathering daughters, and at least it's been valuable for me over the years because I'm always that guy to try to coach or lecture or fix things, and so it's been a huge pivot in the way I've tried to change in fathering my girls. But with all that you're doing, and when I had you on the show once before, I told you this, dude. One of the most powerful clips, and I wish we could take and shout it from the mountaintops, where every single dad on this planet would hear what you had to say. And when I asked you about what do dads need to be telling their kids after a ball game, you said, "I really enjoyed watching you play." And that's so, so important because so many dads, because of their own junk, because of living through their kids, whatever, it's that performance-based love. Why do you think most dads have that or struggle with that?
There's a variety of reasons. Number one, I think the dad views the player's performance on the field as a reflection of them. And our society is a keeping up with the Joneses society. And social media has contributed to this. There's a lot of things that contribute to this. A lot of it is, my kid got 2 hits. Oh yeah, but he was a terrible teammate, but my kid got 2 hits. Like, we're missing the point here. And I think that's the biggest one, man. They think the kid's a reflection of them. Like, it's not. That's a different person. That's an entirely different human being. And they have a lot of you in them and you help create them. That's an entirely different human being. And we need to realize that. And I think people are so loopy right now in wanting to get their personal highlight reel out there. And that includes their kids' performances. And like your highlight reel, I don't ever see parents post about their kid picking up trash in the dugout after the game. And I don't ever see a post about how great a teammate they were and picking up their teammates if they weren't playing because they were on the bench. It's just all about status. It's all about status. And I've said this before in different talks at different places. There's a fine line between wanting to teach your child how to compete, right? And then suppose, quote unquote, being soft on them. You're not being soft on them if you are understanding of how they feel, how they talk, how they walk. It's okay. It's okay for them to show, I guess, not weakness, for them to show some wear and tear from adversity, because adversity is something we face in everyday life, and they're never going to not face adversity, right? And any quote from from Nick Saban, anybody you get, man, they want to talk about how much adversity they faced. The parents don't want them to face any adversity. The parents want them to, first sign of adversity, well, we'll just change what we're doing and we'll just get a different coach and we'll just move school districts and we'll do all this stuff. But man, it's status. The parents think it's status, and that if you're not bringing them their satisfaction so they can raise their social status based off of your performance, then they I guess think you're a failure. And it's sickening. It's really bad.
Yeah. And in one of our conversations before too, you talked about just coaches getting so caught up in the wins and losses that they're not really building young men and women to be productive, people off the field, right? It's just all about the wins and losses. They're not teaching anything else like character and all the other stuff.
It's the 4 for 40 rule. And there are some coaches out there that apply it. Have you heard of the 4 for 40 rule?
No.
As a high school coach, as a college coach, you get 4 years to prepare them for their next 40 years. And you should not be judged on their performance for 4 years. You should be judged on who they are 40 years from now. And are they a better person 40 years from now because they were in your program? The wins and losses is also due to parents, especially at the high school level, because if you're not winning, they want you fired. And they don't ask questions about what you do in the community. They don't ask questions about how you build, and they don't ask questions about anything except for the wins and losses, because that is something they can measure publicly. And there's a measuring stick for it. And there's a lot of really good coaches getting out of coaching because they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with it for a $2,000 stipend. You know what I mean? They do it because they love the game for the most part. They love the game. They love being around the kids. They love making an impact. But when the parents take that away, then it's a real problem. And if you're a parent that is driving a coach out of your community and uprooting their family because you didn't win 4 more baseball games or 2 more football games, and you never once asked what that coach has meant to their players, then you are a problem. Sorry for calling you out, but you are a problem if that has happened.
No, dude, and I love it. I think parents need to be called out. My oldest played ball growing up and was in basketball. And I saw she's been out of high school now for 4 or 5 years. But what I saw even then, just the dads walking away from kids as soon as they got through the ball game, just ticked. Like, you didn't play well enough. And you knew they were going to get the butt chewing on the way home, or they were going to get the silent treatment or whatever. It's just so devastating. You just want to go grab the dad and go, bro, do you not see the devastating consequences of what you're doing and your actions? Because you're so caught up in you that you're not thinking about your kid. You mentioned the social media aspect of it. And I had a conversation with a guy at dinner not long ago, and we were talking about now, since social media with Facebook and Twitter and all the various platforms, I can imagine it's only gotten worse with that. My kid is a reflection of me type deal, because now it's like everybody wants to take a picture of their kid with the first place trophy. And if they don't, then, it's somehow they're measured as a bad parent or something if their kid gets second or third or fourth. But it's like they're pushing their kids even harder to win, because they want to show on social media just how amazing of a mom and dad they are, right?
Right. I'm starting to believe you can see through to a person's heart by their social media presence. And there are parents I know, people that are my age that have their kids, and other people that I've met professionally or friends. And man, the ones who post about, man, I'm really proud of my kid. He played hard today, or she played hard today, versus we went down and won this trophy this weekend. You did not play the game. The kids did, right? And if that's all you're proud about over the weekend, then we need to reevaluate some things. And think about how many people like what they post or how they interact. You know what I mean? And are they people who cause divisiveness online? Are they not? Are they people who want to pump up their kids and let them know they're proud of them? Or are they only proud of them when they win? And I think you can find a way to be proud of your kid every single day.
Do you think dads and moms are really aware of the things that they don't do on social media and the impact, the trickle down effect, if you would, it has on their kids? Because their kids are paying attention too, or they're hearing it from other kids. And, hey, did you see what your dad posted, your mom posted, or whatever? And it's just like this vicious cycle, right? I think, and I've told my girls many times, look, and they're in that age range where they're big on social media. And I've told them many times, look, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to tell you that I love you. I'm proud of you, man. Great game, or whatever. We're going to have these conversations in person. I'm not the guy that's going to be out there just going nuts and promoting every single little win and victory you have on social media. That's not what I'm about. I'm about fathering you personally. And we're going to have this, one-to-one conversation more so than the social media piece. But it seems like a lot of fathers and mothers are doing that part of it online instead of probably in person.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak to what people are doing once they get home, but odds are you see people posting nonstop all day and night. I don't know when they have time to interact with their kids. Right. I mean, it's,
you're right. Absolutely.
You only get 24 hours a day. So like, I'm all for people being proud of their kids and bragging on their kids online. I'm all for it. I do think to your question that people are not aware of the trickle down effect that it has. And I think kids are smart and they're going to see, well, Billy's dad or mom posted about like how great he did at this. And, my parents didn't post anything. They don't post anything unless I do good. Right. So I guess the parents' argument could be like they're trying to get their kid, to be better, but I just don't see it, man. I don't see your kids are different. You're not talking about We're not talking about South Carolina football and calling out the coach that you've never met in person. You have no idea who he is, right? I know a lot of people that do that. And I'm like, all the time you spend doing that, man, do something constructive. And if you're spending all your time doing that, your kid's going to think that it's okay to just sling mud all day online, right? It's a learned behavior. If they watch you cut the grass and they watch you make dinner and they watch you do all these things and they're observing it, you feel like you're passing stuff down to them. Well, what you do online, you're passing that down to them too. And how you interact with people, you're passing that to them. And how you deal with adversity, you're passing that down to them as well. It's not just the good stuff. People just want to think about the good stuff, but you got to do a whole person evaluation of how you are as a parent.
Yeah, brother, I love it. I think so many of us, and I'm included. I mean, I'm a pretty wounded, messed up, jacked up dude. So I got my own stuff and my own issues. But I think
we all are, brother. We all are.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if we start to pay more attention to the social media aspect, because I think even as adults, we get so caught up in this polarized, even the political climate that we're in, and just everything about social media. There's so much of it that's bad that I don't think most adults are paying attention to.
Did you watch the documentary? Did you watch the Netflix thing?
Oh, you're talking about The Social Dilemma.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Eye-opening for the Bartman house. I'll tell you that. It really was, man. It's the thing that really struck me during that was the girl, maybe because I have a 7-year-old that's going to start getting into that age range where she's going to get a phone. Not now, I mean, of course, but like soon, like posting a picture and getting no likes and then changing her appearance to like get the likes. And I was like, daggers, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my goodness, is that really how it is? You know, like boom, eyes wide open. What are we doing? What am I doing? You know, it was sad, and it was eye-opening, to say the least.
I totally agree. Hey, for any of you out there that are watching and this is bringing value, please hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified every time we release a new video, which right now is weekly basis. We're doing YouTube lives on Mondays and we're releasing some other videos during the week. So hit that subscribe button to get more valuable stuff, just like this with Coach Bartman. Hey, as we wrap up, Coach, tell me if there's a father that he's got a son or daughter that wants to take it to the next level, that he thinks has the ability and really wants them to play college ball, and who knows what that next level is. What advice would you give him?
I've given a lot of recruiting talks at a lot of different baseball camps. And the thing that I always come back to is you've got to be honest with yourself about how it is the player's decision. With that being said, I fully understand the saying, if I'm doing the paying, I'm doing the same, right? However, you owe it to your child to help them make an informed decision. So if you would have put me on the campus of the University of Illinois with 30,000 students, I wouldn't have lasted 2 weeks, right? So I probably would have had way too good a time in those 2 weeks and never seen a classroom, or I would have gotten lost, because I didn't know where I was going, wouldn't even made it to a classroom because I couldn't find it. You got to think about geography. You've got to think about financials. You have got to think about academics. I would get emails as a college coach from other coaches promoting their players, or from parents, which the number one just cardinal rule, don't email a coach on behalf of your player. If they're 17, 18 years old, they can do it themselves, right? It's a really good exercise. I would get emails with the wrong name, like, because they're just copy and paste, doing it too fast. Then I would get emails saying, hey, I'm really interested in engineering. I'd like to come see your school. We don't have engineering, So make sure it's in an academic discipline that they want. Make sure it makes financial sense for the family, because going $120,000 in debt to go to a school 8 hours away where you don't want to be, just so your parents can say you played college baseball, is not good. That's not good for the rest of your life, right? Because the kid's miserable too. And then athletically really comes last. If you're a good fit for a school, you got to be honest with them and say, hey, here's my specs, here's my this, here's my that, here's some video. You make the decision, coach, right? And there's a difference between being persistent and being a pest. But you don't need a recruiting service. You literally create a Gmail account that is first name, last name, and your graduation year at gmail.com, and you email the schools you're interested and do your research. You've got the research right here. There's no reason you can't be researching schools. If you're interested in Michigan State, you're in the state of Michigan. Do they have the major you want? Probably. Do they have a fit for you? I don't know. Go on the school's roster. You play the outfield. They've got 2 returning outfielders that started every game last year as sophomores, and they got 3 more that are freshmen. You're probably not going to go there and play the outfield, right? Like, that's just the reality of it. So live in reality. Don't live in a dream world. It's okay to want things, but as soon as you find out they're not a fit, you got to cross them off and move on, right? And so I think a lot of people get caught up in the name on the shirt. And I said this to a group, did a recruiting talk, and I said, parents, number 1 rule, don't be a shirt snob. And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? Don't be we see it. I'm a college coach. I'm standing there and you got your polo with your school's name or logo on it. And the parents walk by and they think they're really slick. And they walk by when you're scouting, they do the whole shirt check, oh, who's this? Oh, who's that? Who's that? Oh, and D3, my kid's not going there. My kid's way too good for that. You never know what's going to happen. And I will let you in a little secret. College coaches of every sport gossip more than anyone, any demographic of person you want to put out there. So coaches like to say, you never know who's watching. And some parents don't think that's true. You would never see myself, Rob Fournier at Wabash Valley College, Brian Smiley at Indiana State, there's a group of 5 of us, we would never go to the same event because there's always stuff to go to recruit, right? Can't be everywhere. So the guys that all worked for each other, worked with each other, trust each other, we go different places and we fire up the scanners on Monday. And it was like a JUCO, a D3, a D1, a Power 5 D1. And it was like, hey, did you see so-and-so? Yes. And he acted like a clown during infield and he made his mom carry his bag. And this guy threw trash on the field and this guy yelled at an umpire. Oh, and by the way, this kid's parents are a problem and you don't want them in your program. We talk about those things because it's your buddy's job that's on the line, especially at those higher levels. So the number one thing I would say is stay out of the player's way and don't do anything to make the coach not recruit the family, because they're not only recruiting the player, they're recruiting the family.
Yeah, you know what? I get it. There's nothing worse than just that crazy parent. The kid could be incredibly talented, just an absolute stud. But in the coach's mind, if that mom or dad's a nightmare, that could very much be the game changer in them not even recruiting them, right?
Guess what? That nightmare doesn't end in high school. That nightmare keeps going. That's the reality of it. Red flags. You've seen a kid that's been to 3 different high schools and played on 5 different summer teams. That's a red flag. Like, there's no staying power. There can be reasons. The parents can have reasons. But guess what? I hate to break it to parents, and this is where I'm going to have a lot of fun when my kids get older, no matter what they decide to do. They're special to me. They're not there's a million of them out there. They're not that special in the grand scheme of things in the world, right? And I know that's probably a hard truth for a lot of people. They're very special to me. Well, I know what they can do. Yeah, but that person doesn't. And there's a lot of other ones they can go get. So if you have bought your kid hours upon hours of private lessons for their sport, but never hired a private tutor for an academic subject, your priorities are out of whack. And I know that it's 95% of them have probably hired a private coach, but not hired a private tutor. And when I'm coaching junior college, there were 2 players getting recruited by the same Division II school, very similar abilities, and the same school's recruiting both of them. They wanted to go together. It was going to be awesome. And one kid had a cumulative GPA of a 3.01 and one had a cumulative GPA of a 2.99. You know what the difference was in that 0.02%?
What?
$10,000 a year in academic money.
Wow.
That's real. And it's one of those, the professor said that I could just get a B if I didn't even come to the final, but like I would have a chance to get an A. Well, you should have got the A. You cost yourself $20,000. And so really taking academics seriously, in addition to taking athletics seriously, it's not just a scare tactic by coaches, man. It's real. It's going to affect you financially, and it could possibly affect like where you get to go to school.
Well, dude, and I said that was our last question, but I do have to ask you another question, because you kind of alluded to it there in the burnout issue, because it's I've got a good friend of mine whose niece grew up playing softball, and the whole family was big Oklahoma University fans. and University of Oklahoma, sorry.
That's
And
the softball program.
yeah. And dude, she had played so much, so often. Her dad, I think, had her in every stinking time 24 hours, whatever she could be playing in, she was playing in. And she got to be a senior, got a full ride offer from University of Oklahoma, and just said, Dad, I'm done. I don't enjoy it anymore. I am burnt out. And she didn't take it. Of course, the family was like, are you kidding me? Whatever. But I'm sure that happens even more so nowadays, again, because of social media and the highlight reels and all the things they're putting together to try to get recruited. What do dads need to do to really evaluate that, to go, wow, is my kid burning out? Is there something they can do to really look at that, step back, hopefully, and look at it?
Yeah, have an honest conversation at the end of a season, and then have an honest conversation every month, every 2 weeks, whatever you think it is, and allow the player to openly talk about how they feel. I'm not saying be a psychiatrist. I'm just saying sit back and say, hey, like, saw you dragging a little bit at the end there. Are you still enjoying doing this? And if the answer is no, say, okay, well, that's fine. I've always thought you've had a passion for it. If you don't want to do it for a certain period of time, that's fine. We'll take a little break and then see if you want to keep doing it or not. Why do you want to make your kid miserable just because you like doing it? That doesn't make any sense. I'll share a little story with you here, and it's talking about a 5-year-old with burnout. But my daughter, she wanted to play baseball. So my youngest one, my oldest one, absolutely not. She wants to talk about fashion and be on the computer and draw, and she's really good at those. She's very creative. I'm not. Like, that's awesome. Do your thing. I'm not going to make her do it. I always ask her, do you want to do this? No? Okay, that's fine. 5-year-old, she's all in. Like, she wants to play. Got it. We practice a little bit. We do her stuff. I'm coaching her team. It's 3 to 5-year-olds. My patience is tested beyond belief, but it's a lot of fun. One night, Micah, my youngest, decides she doesn't want to play. I'm like, well, we have a game, and you're on a team, and they expect you to be there, and that's part of making a commitment to a team. But like, telling that to a 5-year-old is like talking to my desk. She doesn't get it. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. You can stay here with your mom. And Nicole's, my wife, said, well, where are you going? I'm gonna go. I got to coach the team, whether she's there or not. Like, I'm going. I'm not going to drag her there. I'm not going to force her to go. Like, that's in the back of her mind when it comes time to play baseball again. I don't want her to, like, that's what she remembers, is being drugged to go. So I kid you not, I'm coaching this team, and my people that are coaching with me, Pete and Mackenzie, good friends that we're in community group with them at church, and their kids are on the team too. And they're like, where's Micah? Like, she's not coming tonight. Like, what? I said, she didn't want to come. She's not coming. She shows up with my wife and my older daughter, and she wanted to come and see the team, and they sit on the side and she ate SpaghettiOs while I coached the team. But you know what she didn't do? She did not get burnt out on baseball. She wanted that little bit of freedom, and she got it, and she still showed up. And then guess what happened for our next game? She was ready to go. She was ready to roll. Now, if your child is a high school junior and you're doing that, you can't let them go eat SpaghettiOs on the sideline and take a game off. But they have a little more understanding of what it means to make a commitment to a team, right? So I guess, like, I'm going to hold on to that story for a long time, especially when she's older. But it's like, I didn't want to burn her out at 5 years old. I didn't want her to associate kicking and screaming and me like dragging her to the car with something that I love to do. She has showed an interest in doing it. So I encourage her to do it because it's something we can do together. And I've seen our 7-year-old recently say, hey, can I play baseball next year? And I think she, not so much playing the baseball, she sees that I do it with Micah, right? She sees that I do it with her, and she knows that that's what I do for a living is baseball. So I think she's associating that. But my 5-year-old, I'm happy to report, is not burnt out on baseball because she got her one day off to eat SpaghettiOs on the side. Dude, to play another game. I was like, now I'm back to coaching other people's kids. I wasn't doing that, and now that's what I'm back is coaching other people's kids, like I did in college, for 12 years.
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. Well, obviously you're doing a great job fathering those daughters, bro. I love it. Tell people how they can connect with you.
Everywhere. You can email me, first name, last name, Andrew Bartman at usabaseball.com. I'm on Twitter at Coach Bartman, 1N, Bartman. Instagram is Coach _Bartman. I'm on Snapchat. I'm on Facebook. I think it's Andrew Bartman 3 on Facebook, but you'll find me. It's a picture of me coaching with when Kendall was like 3 or 4 years old at a game. So we'd love to connect with you if I can answer any questions at all about recruiting process, fathering. I do not have all the answers, but I love to have conversations, and I don't pretend to have all the answers. And I think that might be my only like redeeming quality is that I know that I don't have all the answers. So I'm not trying to be the smartest guy in the room.
Fatherhood will humble you in a heartbeat, won't it?
Yeah, and couple that with marriage, and you are certainly extremely humble.
Yes, I don't have all the answers either. I'm the biggest knucklehead there is, still trying to figure this thing out. So, brother, I greatly appreciate your time. Every time we get together and do this, which has been 2 or 3 times now, you are just such a stud. There's just so many great nuggets in I think what is that you have to say and what men and fathers need to hear. And so I appreciate you, dude. And we'll do this again soon, because again, I could talk to you for a long time and dive into so many different things, but we'll catch up again. Greatly appreciate you, bro.
John, thank you for what you're doing for fathers all over the world. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you, dude. It's all God.